I have some complaining to do today, but I'm saving that for the end of the video, so let's discuss the episode quickly. As he and Trevor are cleaning up the stage after last episode's accident, Connor seems surprised Trevor and the others can see everything the campers are up to through the cameras. And I mean, it's a reality show, hello? I know technology and all things modern aren't really Connor's thing, but really? I'm not sure if that was supposed to be a Connor super oblivious and outdated joke, or if it's gonna be in some way connected to him once again attempting to change Rhea, or in a twist, trying to ruin her reputation. That'd be a fun change of pace. He says he's done with her, but do you guys believe it? 'Cause I don't. Today, we also learn that Trevor is into someone he'd better move on from. And if that someone is indeed Derek, then please do move on. I can't believe we're having even more relationship drama here. Honestly, I was hoping the Crystal and Derek getting closer thing was only there to bring back Crystal's sadistic personality, with her perhaps eventually promoting Derek and making him do Oliver's job to make the challenges more interesting, but no, relationship drama. And it's not just that, we have another freaking love triangle. Please make it stop. How is it that besides the old lady and the child, Lake is the only one who never got involved in a romantic relationship around here? On screen or off screen, campers and hosts, enough, please. Resolve the other conflicts first. Stop it with the relationships. This is not a Survivor parody anymore. This is The Bachelor 2.0. And while we're on the subject of relationships, let's move on to our favorite dysfunctional one, Scarface and Tinky Winky. Because he's now a responsible adult, Jake walks all the way to Team Science camp and finally has the talk with Tom and explains that he still has feelings for him and would like to give their relationship another try. But in the plot twist of the year, Tom reveals that he has a new boyfriend and that he didn't say anything about him because they didn't want to go public just yet. And from here, we have two possible scenarios. Either Tom is telling the truth and really does have a boyfriend, or he's kinda lying, possibly because he just wants to stay the hell away from Jake, or at the very least, he's afraid things might not work out between them again, so to avoid hurting the guy, he decides to just lie. After all, he did have quite a lot of time to think of a good lie. Both scenarios are valid, but he's clearly lying. Maybe he's not, and at the end of the final episode, his boyfriend will show up. Wouldn't be the first time that happens, but I find it hard to believe, not only because of the way he acted, but also because of the extra effort this season is putting into making Tom more and more unlikable. The way the tables have turned though is unbelievable. Never have I ever imagined Jake would be in the right for once and would be the one I side with. He's mature and keeping it together. I swear I'm crying. After this chat, Jake runs back to Ashley for emotional support, but finds out the girl left to go fishing with Ali hours ago, so Fiore decides to plant the seed of doubt in his mind, making him jealous of Ashley's friendship with Gamer Girl. Seems like he's gonna be redirecting his insecurities from Tom to Ashley. Oh god. For the first portion of the day's challenge, each team must look for 4 rubber balls, I guess. I'm thinking of the Rubber Band's Rubber Ball song from Phineas and Ferb, in their team's color in the forest and roll them up to the top of the hill. At that point, one person from each team, 2 from Team Cyan, is tasked with pushing their team's balls into the opposing team's goals, where the remaining players will be defending their respective goal. The team that scores the most goals wins. No, wait, the team that gets scored on gets a point, and then the team with the most points loses. Kinda convoluted, and it didn't help how Crystal kept repeating the word balls every 20 seconds. How mature of you, Crystal, you're like 30. Nevertheless, I was kinda disappointed that the team that completed the first half of the challenge first didn't win some kind of reward that would help them in the second part of the game. Retrieving the rubber balls basically wasn't part of the challenge, because it didn't matter whether it took someone 1 minute or 16 hours to find them, but whatever. Nonetheless, as everyone is searching, we have Rhea and Alec realize it must have been Connor who informed the other teams about the Villains Alliance, and as they lose all the respect for the guy, Gabby overhears their conversation, realizing Ellie lied to her about the Alliance. So, as any sensible person would do, she talks to her therapist about it, and because Gabby's so upset she can bring herself to talk to Ellie, Tess agrees to do it for her. And it's about time, you said you would 2 episodes ago, yet you're still here. About Gabby though, so many of you guys in my last video's comment section were super convinced that she would be leaving next because she didn't seem to have any kind of arc going on. But as I said in my answers, in episode 5, the writers had Gabby say this:
"If this were all true, Ellie would have told me! Right, Ellie?"
So they clearly wanted us to keep that detail in mind. And now that Tess is gonna confront Ellie about it, we can expect Gabby to be the center of attention for the next few episodes. In my opinion, all this is probably not gonna lead to Gabby and Ellie breaking up, but I can see Ellie try to become a better person to regain Gabby's trust and start doing the right thing for her sake. Although I was kinda hoping Tom was gonna be the one finding out the truth about the Villains Alliance, using his police academy skills and whatever, but it looks like that's another story that went nowhere. Bummer. We then have Scarface tell Skunkhair all about his chat with Jake, and about his totally real and non-made-up boyfriend, and Tom finally says something nice about Jake for like the first time in years, so I guess that's something. However, Aiden is now pissed at Jake for being jealous of his friendship with Tom, and he even starts suspecting Jake was probably behind James's elimination in episode 2. And that's impressive, he was so incredibly correct. So we might expect a Jake versus Aiden argument very soon. I can't quite imagine how it's gonna go down though. In the second portion of the game, to grant her team immunity, Ellie uses Tom and Aiden to distract Jake, and this time it was strategy, so I can't complain, causing the guy to lose his focus and get run over by Team Science Rubber Ball, making Team Magenta lose once more. I admit, seeing Fiore pretend to care for Jake was probably my favorite moment of the episode. It's so obvious she's pretending, but she's so desperate she hopes that's enough to convince him not to vote for her. Poor Fiore. After Team Yellow wins a pizza party, Jake talks to Ashley about his feeling left out now that she's getting closer to Allie, and fears the girls might vote him out next. And at this point, I don't even blame him for being so insecure, because people are just making it so hard for him to live his life peacefully. Pretty much everyone around him is constantly trying to play with his head, making the most of his being naive. So of course he has these never-ending trust issues. It would be weird if he didn't have them. But nevertheless, being friends with such insecure people is sometimes a challenge, so am I glad Ashley is seen losing her patience with him every now and then. Being Jake's friend must be so incredibly tiring, so I'm happy to see Ashley is not a one-dimensional, always supportive character with a huge smile on her face 24/7. At the end of their conversation, Ashley starts considering voting out Allie to prove to Jake she's on his side, while Jake considers voting out Fiore to make Ashley's day. Luckily, at the campfire ceremony, Jake ends up putting strategy and Ashley's needs ahead of his own, and with 3 votes against her, Fiore leaves the game, while Ashley celebrates as happy as she'll ever be.
Well, Nick, we better meet up for drinks after this. First round's on me.
However, here's where my complaining begins. First things first, it really bothers me how, before reading the final vote, Crystal always says X person voted out of this venture camp is, because it really ruins all the tension. For instance, here, Fiore received 2 votes already and Allie only got 1, so if you start your sentence by saying 6 person voted out of this venture camp is, it's obviously not gonna be Allie. The way she's phrasing it implies that this next vote she's reading is gonna send someone home, making it impossible for a tie to happen or for anyone else to leave. So who's the 6th person out of this venture camp? It's obviously Fiore. Instead, she should just say, and the final vote is for. This way, whether the final vote you read is a swing vote or not, you don't give it away. But that's not even the actual complaint of the day, because I have an issue with Fiore here. Now with her placement, 6th boot is okay, especially because she had a major role in season 1, so it's perfectly fine if she doesn't stay too long this time around. However, my actual problem is with how little she did this season. She went from being a major threat and a great strategist who's super resourceful and knows how to handle her adversaries by lying and tricking them, but this season she didn't do any of this. And even the little bit of scheming she did was nothing compared to her season 1 run. Unfortunately, she was just a background character this season. She barely had any screen time. I didn't expect Lake or James to bring much to the table given how little they stayed in the game, but this is episode 7, we're already 1/3 of the way there. So how is it that a character like Fiore was just filler and didn't contribute more to the story? When I reviewed season 1, I told you I wasn't the biggest Stan fan, and it was because he stayed in the game for 7 entire episodes, yet he barely did anything. And the same goes for Fiore this time around. She got cast aside to give the other characters some more screen time, which would have been fine if they needed it, but they didn't. I'm serious, some storylines have been stretched more and more since episode 1, and they're still nowhere close to a resolution, so it was pretty unnecessary to see the same interactions repeat over and over again, without ever adding something new. Like Connor and Alec talking about Rhea, Hunter and Allie fighting all the time, Jake being jealous of Tom and Aiden. They didn't need that much screen time every time. Things are taking forever to happen when they could have been resolved much sooner instead. Like Connor's story with Rhea, he appeared in 7 episodes but didn't do anything the entire time. They could have eliminated him 4 episodes before and nothing would have changed. And don't get me wrong, I really enjoy seeing the characters interact outside of the challenges, but only if they don't reiterate the same concept over and over again. Because while they're stretching those storylines, in the meantime, we're losing valuable characters, and I doubt this is all Fiore or Hunter could have brought to the table. But back to Fiore, in today's episode I was so hoping for a tiebreaker to happen between her and Allie, still resulting in Allie staying of course, but at least I would have allowed Fiore to be the center of attention one last time before leaving, because she really needed that. I was also pretty disappointed that Miriam's letter wasn't the decisive factor in Jake's decision to vote for Fiore, not only because the Villains Alliance proves how untrustworthy the Demon Child is, so it would have been super dumb to make her stay, but also because of how close Jake and Miriam are. So by voting out Fiore, Jake would be weakening the alliance, thereby sort of avenging Miriam, which would have been super wholesome. But unfortunately none of that happened. The letter wasn't even brought up in the context of tonight's elimination, which felt like a pretty big waste honestly. Just like how Fiore and Alec never got to work things out. Waste. So either she'll be back in a potential 4th season, or she makes a comeback later this season, or maybe she gets to do something at the motel. We just need more of Fiore being Fiore. But of course, those are just my thoughts, so share yours in the comments down below, on the episode of course, and on the Demon Child. Let me know if you would have liked to see her strategize more like she did in season 1, or if you think that's all she could bring to the table. So with that being said, thanks so much for watching once again, and I'll see you guys next time. Ciao!